Hey, what's up, everybody? BL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I'll talk a little Lakers since I haven't really done much of that today. LeBron, of course, did not play in the All-Star game. Of course, Luka was not selected because of injury, I'd imagine. Because I can't imagine any other reason why he wouldn't be. I don't think he's going to miss too many more of those going forward. But, yeah, man, our guys are taking precautions. That's what LeBron was essentially saying. He's taking precautions. He's been managing the ankle injury. I think it was the same injury that Solomon Hill ran into that kept him out well before he got to the Lakers, or his first year with the Lakers. I don't quite remember how that went. But, yeah, I think he did that. I think that was like his first year with the Lakers or second year with the Lakers. I thought that, I don't remember. So many years. But Solomon Hill ran into his ankle. I think he was a Laker when that happened. Yeah, I think he was. But I think that's the injury that he never quite fully healed from or whatever. Has lingering problems in his ankle, so he was feeling a little soreness in that from what he said. And given the fact that we have 30 games left, we're trying to make a push here. He just thought it would be smart for him to just not force himself to play any more basketball. So, you know, my take on that is I think it's a good chance. He was protesting the game. He didn't probably want to play in that game for his own reasons, but you know, if this is what he was doing, I'll take his word for it. I think it's a good thing. I have no problem with that. As a Laker fan, I appreciate it, actually. You know, he has to be smart about his body. If he was 30 years old, this wouldn't be an issue. But at 40, you really got to be cautious. You don't wait for things to get too bad at this age. The slightest bit of discomfort needs to be taken seriously so it doesn't tumble forward, so that it can fully heal, or whatever the case may be. So, you know, this just shows how serious he is about this season, how serious he is about what we're trying to accomplish as a team, and I think it's a great thing for us. And so that's really what it is, man. He's serious, as he should be, man. 40 years of age, year 22. What is it? Year 22, I imagine this is. I just don't think there's any reason for him not to be serious about the season ahead, especially given the fact that we're in fifth place. Like, we really could make some noise in the playoffs this year. And look at the Doncic coming on. You know, we got a lot of reasons to want to sacrifice our personal circumstances to see the team goal come to pass. I think that's what you do when your team is in the position we're in. So yeah, man, I'm excited about what Luka can look like over the next several weeks as he works himself back into game shape, gets in line with what the Laker goal is, and you know, takes over the offense, for which I think is imminent. Got to figure out how guys can play with one another, how guys can work with one another on the basketball court, you know, and how much we can ask of Luka, what should be responsible in asking of him. Because with his conditioning and the circumstances in place, it could be potentially a little shaky asking him to just take over the offense and expect great results for the team concept. These are new teammates. The team that he's used to playing on was kind of built around him. All the stuff was set up with him in mind, from what it seemed. And that's not quite what types of pieces we have here. They complement him somewhat, but it's not going to be as seamless as a fit for him to just be who he's been and get the most out of this unit. Some sacrifice is going to be required because we have multiple ball handlers at an extremely high level. So when you consider what you need to ask Luka to do, sometimes he's going to have to play off ball. His defensive responsibilities are going to be a bit higher here, at least for the short term. I'm going to need his defense to be a bit more effective than maybe Dallas was expecting it to be. There are going to be times where LeBron's probably not going to play. He's going to be asked to take over the offense. Him and Austin Reeves are going to spearhead it, so they have to have synergy with one another. He's got to learn his teammates as a playmaker, learning Rui Hachimura, learning Vanderbilt, learning these guys that he's going to be on the floor with a lot of the time. It's going to be one of these situations where he's got to learn what they can and cannot do, and that's going to take time. It's going to take some time, so I think the good thing is we do have some pieces that he's used to playing with, like Dorian Finney-Smith. It's not going to be much of an adjustment there. Dorian can kind of help him bridge the gap as it pertains to the understanding of what the Lakers want to do versus what he's used to in Dallas, since Dorian knows both systems. You know, and that's going to be something. But I think at the end of the day, you got a player in place that knows pretty much how to run any offense. One of the best playmakers we have in this game, if not the best playmaker in the game. So when you couple with his natural ability to get things off and just put up massive amounts of production in multiple categories, you understand that you don't need to, you know, ask him to do anything but himself, and you're going to get that production out of him when his conditioning comes around. Question is, how can we get the most out of everybody else while asking him to be himself? And is that possible? That's going to be the question that J.J. Redick is going to have to answer. Can we get the most out of Austin Reaves if Luka is himself? LeBron, is he going to be able to sacrifice in the moment when it's absolutely necessary to defer to Luka and let him run the offense? Is he going to be throwing possessions away, trying to take his long threes and stuff like that? Or will he see the fruit and just say, yo, this is a possession that we need Luka's effectiveness and his efficiency to kind of carry us? You know, how do we manage injury? If we lose Luka to injury, if we lose Bron to injury, can we stay afloat now that we've depleted some of our depth? Can we survive without some of our role players? Which is also something that's equally as important when you consider how bad we looked in the game where we removed Dorian Finney-Smith and Gabe Vincent. We looked really bad as a team. So can we maintain any sense of defensive production if we lose certain defensive players? And how much of what we saw from Alex Len is what to be expected? Is he able to play better than that? And if not, is it not wise to bench him? And Alex Len had a rough start with the Lakers. I didn't actually lay eyes on most of it, but I did listen to a lot of the commentary, and it was nothing good said. And you look at some of his history in the league, and it's not a whole lot to expect. It's going to be better based on the history. So that's a little unfortunate. I didn't really understand that about Alex Len. I didn't really follow his career that closely to know that he struggled as much as he has and has had sparingly been provided opportunities here and there. You know, and maybe that's just because he's not expected to be very productive, or maybe it's just this is the opportunity he's finally been waiting for all his career, and now he can really show, hey, yo, I could have been productive this whole time. I just never had anybody trust me to be that productive, or was it ever necessary based on the personnel I played with. And so that's what we're going to find out. Alex Len's role here could potentially be his biggest role in his career. And if we don't run him out of town while he's trying to figure it out, maybe he can become a productive player for us in like 20 minutes a night. You know, for the first time in his career, really be given consistent minutes, be needed, and then from there learn how to be himself in that way. Because when guys are never given that opportunity their whole careers, it's easy to assume that they can't play. But when have they ever been asked to, is the question. So I think that's what it is with Alex Len. Hey, friend, hello. Hey, buddy, what's up? What's up? Hey. Hey. So that's really what it is for Alex Len. Is it going to be a situation where we give up on him too soon? And once again, this is yet another opportunity where he's going to be sitting and asked to play once a week? Or is this going to be a situation where you realize what he is somebody who's going to have to work his way into the equation to a much lesser degree than Luka Doncic, but just the same. And over the course of time, as you ask him to do more, maybe he can prove he can for the first time ever. And so that's really what it is. I don't quite know if we're not all overreacting to Alex Len's struggles in that very first game when he's never been asked to even play that much, period, over the last several years. And, you know, it's one of those situations where you're going to get rocked to sleep by that dose of basketball, to where this was a lottery pick when he was first drafted. He just wasn't drafted to a situation where he was ever asked to be anything more than what he's been asked to be throughout the course of his career. Maybe he can snap back into what he was drafted to be to a degree. If asked to do more, maybe he can remember who he was in the beginning. As a player who had real expectations and upside in his career. So that's what I think Alex Len could find himself potentially finding out. That, yo, man, I could have been a guy that could have really been productive if I just would have been given opportunities to develop, and then furthermore, been asked to play more. And so, I don't know. When you look at a guy who was a lottery pick once upon a time, why can't he have a big game? Unprecedented for his standards. It's not like he was drafted in the second round expected to be what he ultimately turned into. He just happened to be that over time. And a lot of times he was playing behind people that he was never going to be able to step in front of. He was never going to get the opportunity that would otherwise allow for you to even see him earn that type of cachet, which is what happens to a lot of players in this league. And so, you become what you are, you become what it is that they ask you to be, but that doesn't mean that you were ever initially supposed to be that. It's just that you were never developed into what it is that you ultimately were supposed to be. And so that's what I think of Alex Len. He never really been asked to be anything more than a role player. Well, we need him to be a little more than that. Do we have the patience to let him get incorporated properly? Or are we going to write him off as a scrub as he struggles, just like most people would struggle in his shoes? That's the question. Because most players would struggle in his shoes based on what it is that he's used to, the newness of all of this, the fact that he hasn't played much in the last several years, etc. Yeah, you're not going to find him coming in and being that player that he was initially drafted to be in the lottery. Like, that's not who he's ever been asked to be. So I think Alex Len is just going to do the most with his opportunities. I don't think he's extremely old, to be honest with you, because he was drafted, 10, 11 years ago? So I don't think guy is older than 32 years old at the most, 31 years old. And if that's the case, there's probably still some growth for him to do as it pertains to his conditioning, and then furthermore, what he can be in this league when asked to be more. And so, I'm open-minded to unprecedented things being possible with that player. I'm open-minded. I don't know that I have seen anything that would make me encouraged, but someday, someone in his shoes is going to step out and find a home. Why can't it be him is the question I have for all of us. Why can't it be this guy who will finally find, after all these years, that there was actually a good player in there somewhere? He was just never asked to be that. And given the fact that we need him to be that, at least a solid version of himself, this opportunity is probably the one he's been waiting for a very long time. So that's what it is, man. Try not to kill the man's spirit. Obviously, we need him to play well. His role is important. Maybe he doesn't have some of the strengths that most of us would be very pleased with in these circumstances. But just like a guy like Jackson Hayes, maybe he can surprise a lot of us once he starts getting the reps and the opportunities. Because that's what I think Jackson has done. Just by sheer nature of needing his role, suddenly you find that he's been a productive player. Suddenly you find your defense and your offense is better with him on the floor. And he was once a lottery pick too. So that's what it is. I think Jackson Hayes has turned into an asset for us, especially under these circumstances. And I think the numbers prove that we are a better team when he's been on the floor since we traded Anthony Davis away. And given the fact that we have a lob player that throws lobs professionally, I do believe that we're going to find that we have a very good opportunity to maximize Jackson Hayes on this team in ways that maybe he hadn't been asked to in New Orleans. And so that's what I see there. I see the two players who are now going to be in a position to play better than they've ever been forced to play. And if they're able to maximize on that, they may have found a home here in at least the short term. And so maybe they can rekindle their careers, both of them, and earn more than they've ever earned before. I don't know. Like I said, it's not something that you're going to see too often, but why not this time? Why not this time is what I say, especially when you have such fantastic playmakers finding them and such great space creators drawing defense away from those guys. You know what I'm saying? So that's really what I think. I think with Alex Len, I'm poised to be positive about this guy coming in, getting some games under his belt, getting his struggles out the way, and then being a real asset for us as we continue to need to turn to him for size. And hopefully JJ Redick will give him the opportunities and the rope from which to grow and not kind of shut him down and typecast him into what it is that he's ultimately been the whole time. Because we really need the size. And I don't believe in small ball that much, as you guys know. I'm not a big believer in small ball. I don't particularly think it works unless you have a certain type of talent. We may have that type of talent, to be honest with you. But I still would prefer us respect size on the basketball floor. And I think that's why the urgency for us to have gotten a center is in place. Because I think as an organization, we understand that. So we're ready to invest in the center position. But for the time being, we got to work with what we have. And what we have is our player, or 2 players, maybe even 3, 4, hell, 4 centers that need opportunities to prove that they can be in this league. I don't think a better opportunity has been presented to any of these people than the one that's in front of them right now. So that's pretty much what I got to say, man. I appreciate everybody for rocking with BDO 44. I'm out.